Cognitive biases from A to Z. In the labyrinth of human cognition, biases are the unexpected turns and twists that often lead us away from objective truth. These cognitive shortcuts, shaped by evolution, experience, and culture, play crucial roles in helping us navigate the complex world. Yet they also sometimes lead us astray. In this video, we will traverse the alphabet, exploring a myriad of biases and brain-related terms that offer insight into the workings of our minds. A is for anchoring bias. This is the tendency for people to rely too heavily on the first piece of information they encounter, the anchor, when making decisions. B is for backfire effect. This occurs when, in the face of corrective information, people double down on their incorrect beliefs rather than adjusting them. C is for confirmation bias. People tend to search for, interpret, and remember information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. D is for Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a cognitive bias where individuals with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. E is for endowment effect. People often assign more value to things simply because they own them. F is for framing effect. The way information is presented can drastically influence the decisions people make. G is for gambler's fallacy. The belief that past events can influence the probability of future events in random processes. H is for hindsight bias. The tendency to believe, after an outcome is known, that one would have foreseen or predicted it. I is for illusion of control, when someone believes they can control or at least influence outcomes that they clearly cannot. J is for just world hypothesis. It's the belief that the world is fair and people get what they deserve. K is for knowledge curse. This is the difficulty in imagining and communicating knowledge one possesses to others who lack that knowledge. EL is for loss aversion. It's the tendency to prefer avoiding losses over acquiring equivalent gains. M is for mere exposure effect. People tend to develop a preference for things simply because they are familiar with them. N is for negativity bias. The propensity to focus on, remember, and be influenced more by negative than positive experiences or information. O is for overconfidence bias, believing too much in the accuracy of one's knowledge and judgments. P is for projection bias, the act of unconsciously assuming that others share the same or similar thoughts, beliefs, values, or positions. Q is for question-related bias, the influence that the phrasing or format of a question can have on a person's response. R is for recency bias, the tendency to weigh the latest information more heavily than older data. S is for stereotyping, expecting a member of a group to have certain characteristics without having actual information about that individual. T is for tragedy of the commons. Individuals acting in their own self-interest behave contrary to the common good of all users. U is for unit bias, the tendency to think of things as wholes rather than as parts that can be divided. V is for valence effect, the tendency for people to overestimate the likelihood of good things happening over bad things. W is for wishful thinking, the formation of beliefs based on what is pleasing to imagine instead of by evidence or logic. X is for xenophobia, the fear or hatred of strangers or foreigners, often leading to biased attitudes and perceptions. Y is for yes-man syndrome, the tendency to avoid conflict or differences in opinion by agreeing, especially with superiors. Z is for zero-risk bias, preferring to reduce a small risk to zero rather than reducing a larger risk by a greater amount. In conclusion, the landscape of human cognition is riddled with biases, each offering unique insights into our thought processes. Recognizing these biases from A to Z helps us understand where we might err in judgment. As we strive towards greater understanding, we arm ourselves with the knowledge to make better decisions and navigate the world with clarity and grace. If you learned something new from this video, consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time, stay sharp.